Alright, so in the last video, we said that frequently, when you hear a question that begins with, why don't they? As in, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? Why don't airplanes give you more legroom? The answer is cost. The answer is almost always because it costs too much. And it's not just for things that you're buying or selling or trading. It can also be for activities, other incentive-driven behaviors. For example, when you say, why don't they shut down Bitcoin? The way that they've shut down other alternative currencies, ones that were private, stuff like e-gold. And the answer is that it would cost too much, right? It's not clear what the result would be of trying to shut it down upright for the government. A brick of cocaine's highly illegal. Is it cheap? Did it become cheaper when they made it illegal? No. Now, of course, right, like that finances all sorts of other crazy government programs and other government incentives, but we don't need to get into that. The main thing is that with incentives, whenever you hear somebody say, why don't they do this? It's usually cost. So we talked about that last time. For this one, we're going to get into mining and the technical details. I've thought about this a little bit. Just talking and going through it is a pretty bad way to actually learn how mining works. I'll do it and I'll make a whole video for it, but I'll also recommend that you just kind of skip it. I think the best way that you learn about mining is get a wallet, load it with some Bitcoin, make some transactions, and the more you read, the more you study, the more you'll kind of eventually understand it. Now, I know that's kind of a disappointing answer, and that's why I will actually go through it and everything, but I'll tell you why I believe that's the answer and why I think it's true. Bitcoin is an empirical system. It's a practical system. It's an experience-based system. It's based on iterations in the real world, seeing how something worked, having only incremental changes, and repeating processes over again. You'll maybe heard people say, oh, it's a proof of work system. Yes, and I'll try to talk about what that is, although again, just using it and watching videos with visual aids and things might be a better way to kind of understand that. But another way to think of proof of work is things like practice, right? If you see somebody playing a musical instrument very well, you could conclude that that person put in many hours, potentially thousands of hours of practice for that instrument. Even if you see them playing that instrument only for 30 seconds, you could know immediately, right? It's like, hey, that can't be faked. That takes a certain amount of work and effort. So proof of work is a bigger human concept and an easier to understand human concept than it's frequently discussed as when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So in terms of practice and experience with Bitcoin, first 5 people who leave a comment with a Bitcoin address on this video, I'll send you $5 worth for sure. Other than that, there's a faucet if you go to free.bitcoin.com, so you can get enough to do several transactions with. And cryptocurrency is all over the place, right? So you can use all sorts of, other competing cryptocurrencies and still intuit something about the technology. But get immersed, and you will find that mining is much easier to understand. Now, I'll make a video where I just talk about hash functions and blocks and all of those things, but I will probably recommend that you just skip it and instead use a wallet, use Bitcoin. But we'll talk about some of the consequences and interesting other tidbits that come from mining after I get through all the details in that next video that, again, you should probably skip and instead just get a wallet, start using it now. And I'll also throw in a video that's very technical and has great video information and graphics that somebody else made that is highly recommended for understanding that level of technical detail for the process. All right, thanks.